Hey everyone, I just wanted to go ahead and go over all of the updates that I made to my Gitlab instance to be able to run it completely free of Bitnami and Bitnami images, and then also it using my own Minio.io instance instead of the one that Gitlab runs. So this guy here, there aren't going to be too many changes that we need to make from before. If you want to see, just go to the other video that I have on this, and then if you want to see any of the new updates, that's kind of what I'm going to be going over here. And you can kind of see from top down. To start with, we have Cert Manager. These ones are the same as before. I turned off OpenBAO. I'm not exactly sure. It's not useful to me, so I just turned it off. And then down here, the next change that's going to be important for this is going to be removing if Minio is enabled. I just got rid of that, and then because I'm going to still have a runner, right? But it's going to be using my own instance, and you can see here you can add a server address directly. So instead of trying to get one that is auto-generated from the Minio that it's running, I'm actually just using the one that I have running in my local cluster. Same for this, access and key and secret key. This is the policy that we're going to have to set up. If we continue down, that one isn't too important. Here's the next part that is important, is the object store. This has to be enabled if you're going to use your own Minio cluster. You have to say what the connection secret is, and this secret is a little bit unique. It's not just some really small change. It's not just like a username, password, or access key. It has a few different things in it. I'll show that in a little bit. And then the different objects that are going to be here, all of these are just saying what the bucket names are. So as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. These all are going to be added to our GitLab values YAML for our Minio instance, which you can see the last video for that. It's pretty easy to set these up. That way, doing it that way makes our lives extra easy, because we don't have to actually go in and make all these buckets. It's just we update the values YAML and it'll create them for us. The only other thing is this connection secret, which we will set up a policy to actually have. Then down here, this is the community edition. This is showing all of the changes from the default values to the new ones. You can see here, this is what my URL is for SSH, the GitLab version, the current host version, the fact that I'm using Let's Encrypt and nginx. I'm saying not to install OpenBAO, so that's set to false. Down here, this Postgres, this is the same. Oh, this is updated from using the Bitnami instance. This is going to be updated to using cluster-database-rw, which is the cluster that is created from Cloud Native. This is the pod that is created from that. So, and this is the service that is for that pod. Then we'll also need to create the database and the username. That's what this job over here is, this Postgres job. That will interact with this cluster database RW, which stands for read write. And then the password, we'll just have to make sure we have that Postgres password updated to what it actually needs for this job to run. I think this should be, this is important. This will be the same one as whatever the GitLab admin that we create. And then down here, we're going to have to set up a Redis standalone in our cluster. This pod won't be a whole high availability Redis set. It would just be a single Redis pod that is running Redis. That should be enough for our instance. If you want to have a more complicated Redis, you can. I think in my instance, I don't plan on using Redis for anything else, only GitLab, so I think a standalone is enough. It uses Redis, I think, for a few different things. The user session when they log in, and then also maybe some runner cache stuff. Maybe, I'm not exactly sure, but it's not super vital to GitLab running. It is important to have it though. And then if we continue down, this is saying ingress for the nginx was removed. You shouldn't need that. Same for this pod security stuff. App protocol for the service, this all got cleaned up. If I keep going down, this was the same thing, removed. And then the auth, this is getting the Postgres secret, Postgres password for both of these. I have a comment here saying I'm not actually sure if this is important. And then you can see right here, enabled false. And that's because we're going to be using our own cluster PostgreSQL, right? Just as we're doing with the other stuff. Also, I turned off Prometheus, and I've tried turning off metrics for all of these. Because personally, again, if you care for that stuff, you can. If you're running this in a production environment that you need to keep track of all of that, you can turn it on. You can also turn it on at any point. It doesn't have to be right away. And you can see here, this is the Redis that they come with. It is already standalone. Here's some different, the existing secret and existing secret key. You might need to update these, or you can just create it as the same thing. And then down here, we're gonna have the Redis standalone connection for the host. And then again, the secret and the password. And yeah, that's all the changes. I know I kind of just rapid fired them going through them. I think the important part here is just kind of going over the use of the bucket, and then also switching to Redis, and also the Postgres using this. Which, if you currently are using GitLab Bitnami, then you did go through the effort of having that set up, you should be able to pull all of your data. You should be able to pull your entire database from Postgres, save it, and then upload it into the new cloud native one. I'm not going to show how to do that, but it is it can be a lengthy process, but there's a few different routes you can go, and I think that would be the best route to make sure you get off that Bitnami instance. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a deep dive into Redis. So in here, I just made two different things for Redis. This isn't a Helm chart for me in this instance. I am just using Kubernetes pod and a Kubernetes service. Very simple, very bare bones. You can see here, it is still installed in GitLab. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because it's using a Redis image and not Bitnami's Redis. It defaults to Bitnami from GitLab. We don't want to use that. I wanted to use my own instance, and that's all this is. It's nothing too crazy, and you can see like the logic for this is pretty empty. But yeah, this should be all you need. And then the Postgres job, this was updated. You can see here, this is using the new cluster database. I also try to make it a little bit easier for what you actually need to update. That's all right here now, instead of being down below. So it's a little bit easier to see. And I updated the echoes in the comments, so it's clearer on what step it is and whether or not it had succeeded. So, and yeah. And again, we still have the issuer and the issuer staging. This is all the same. And yeah, that should pretty much wrap it up. There shouldn't be anything really else for us to have to do. You can change these variables and whatnot. Just make sure if you change them, you're updating them in all the different places. Again, this isn't a Helm chart. We're using a Helm chart values, and then this is just a single job that's creating the database. This only needs to run once, so you know, it's nothing too crazy, but it is super useful for us. And same for this only needing to be coming to existence once. Again, you might run into issues down the line. Maybe this Redis goes down and it isn't super clear why, or that it had go down. And you might want to expand it, but at least at those points you can do in the future, right? You can change this to a Helm chart and whatnot. But just to get GitLab running and have that instance working again, this should be all you need. And the last little bit I wanted to show you guys, that is going to be this GitLab policy, access key policy. Again, this is going to be in that same repo. I haven't added it just yet, but this guy kind of goes over creating, or you're going to essentially create a new access key. It's going to give you the access key and then some secret. And then in here, you're going to turn on restrict beyond user policy. This is saying, hey, this person will only have access to these buckets, or this key will only have access to these buckets. And the buckets that we want to say are going to be these ones, right? We're going to say all the ones for GitLab plus the Postgres one. And then same for the data within it. And then, yeah, and then you'll create it, give it a name, create it. If you want to make it expire, you can, but I don't know if you want to actually rotate keys and all that. You might need to at some point. But yeah, with that should be good here. You'll just have to go into your Minio and create it. If you don't have Minio running, I show how to do that in the last video, so please check that out. And then, yeah, in Rancher, I'm just gonna show you guys right here. This is GitLab. Here it is deployed. It does seem to still want to run things even when you turn them off. I'm trying to find it. Oh, I guess not. It did have some other extra ones before. Maybe that's just from other instances and it just didn't clean up correctly. But yeah, you can see here everything is running, everything is active and happy, which is awesome. But yeah, everything should be running and everything should be happy. So hopefully you didn't have to nuke it. I did nuke mine and reset it all up, which was really unfortunate, but I had to nuke it because I couldn't even get my Bitnami one running. So once I nuked that, I was like, I lost pretty much all the data from GitLab anyway. I didn't have backups running, so that was my bad. But yeah, the next thing we're going to be doing is going to be Trillium and setting up a Trillium application with an OAuth 2 proxy in front of it, and we can use GitLab as the OAuth 2 provider for this proxy. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. I've already done it. It's pretty fun. Well, it's pretty awesome to see. And yeah, if you would like to see that, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you have any comments or any suggestions, please leave them below. I just wanted to make this follow-up because things did change from the time when I released the other GitLab video, and I'm not happy that I had to nuke and restart, but sometimes that happens with home labs. If this was an actual service, I would have been more poignant and more purposeful for getting backups. So this time around, I am trying to make more of an effort. Yeah, do definitely consider, or do definitely do that. Oh, and then the last thing, before I forget, so the only other thing is you're gonna have to create a connection secret, Minio connection secret, GitLab, and this is what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna blur the access key and my secret access key, or essentially hide it. But yeah, it's just this right here, and I'll copy and paste this into the repo so you guys also have that. But yeah, that should be everything. Make sure you make this because this is where you're gonna actually provide the key from this. And again, that should be everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.